The Gupta program is one of the most popular amygdala retraining programs out there, and it promises to help you with chronic fatigue, burnout, fibromyalgia, and other difficult to treat conditions. In this video, I want to review the Gupta program, talk about my experience with it, whether I liked it or not, and if I recommend it to others. Before we get started, what even is the Gupta program? Now, you probably have a general idea, otherwise you wouldn't have clicked on this video. But to give you more specifics, the Gupta program really is a combination of an online course, printed materials, and worksheets. It was one of the first amygdala retraining programs on the internet, and I will explain in a second what that means. Gupta himself, so the creator of the program, actually suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome during his studies at Cambridge University and created the program based on his research that he did because none of his doctors could really help him. This is a very common situation among people who suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, or chronic pain, for example. Oftentimes, these patients go from doctor to doctor without really getting answers to their questions and without getting a cure. Now, how does the Gupta program work? The basic idea is that the conditions I just outlined and many others are really caused by an overactive nervous system. It overreacts to stress or some external stimulus because at some point it was triggered to such an extent that it's basically stuck in fight or flight. So it's stuck in the danger mode and cannot go back to rest and relax. They then started to develop their symptoms, and gradually things got worse and worse, to the point where they couldn't even lead a normal life anymore. This is exactly what happened to me. It felt like within a couple of weeks I lost not just my energy, but my job, contact to my friends, really my life. This can be very traumatizing to people. And like I said before, you run from doctor to doctor without getting any answers. Oftentimes there isn't even a diagnosis to be made. You get checked for everything, they usually don't find anything, and at some point they just send you home and say, sorry, there's nothing more I can do for you. Gupta's explanation for this is that it's not a hardware problem, so there's nothing wrong with your organs or your body. Instead, it's a software problem where your brain's programming is messed up. Really, your brain and nervous system went into hyper-defensive mode, where they are stuck in fight or flight as if you're always chased by a tiger. An important part of the brain, which is called the amygdala, plays a huge role here because it's responsible for processing fear. It's a really old part of the brain that some people even call the reptilian brain because it's not for thinking sophisticated thoughts. Its sole purpose is to keep you alive and protect you from threats. If it is constantly activated, then it will signal to your body that you're constantly under threat and that it needs to protect you from this threat. So the real solution is to calm or retrain the amygdala so it can relax and show your body that you're no longer in danger of dying. That's really the goal of the program, to retrain your amygdala, your brain, and your nervous system to help them calm down again and get out of fight or flight and into rest and relax again. What this also means is all the symptoms that you have aren't imagined, like some people think, and even some doctors tell them. They are real, but they're not due to some organ damage or something else, but in fact, they're because of your overactive nervous system that constantly signals your body that something is wrong. I like this explanation, but don't think it gives us the whole picture. I will talk about that in a second. Basically, the program then gives you certain meditations and relaxation techniques to help you retrain your brain and learn to relax again. He also has his own technique of getting you out of negative thought patterns, which I really liked. And just saying that this program is about meditation really wouldn't do it justice. It's not the same as just Googling a meditation that you can watch on YouTube. It's really a sophisticated and well thought out program. Okay, now that you have a rough overview of who the Gupta program is for and what it is supposed to do, let me talk about the things that I liked and also the things that I didn't like. The first and maybe most important thing that I liked about the program is that it offers an explanation for chronic fatigue syndrome. Chronic fatigue syndrome is one of those things that modern medicine has a really hard time dealing with. A lot of people are affected by it and it can destroy your life. So just having something or having someone who can explain what is going on and what you can do to overcome this disease can be life-changing. For me personally, it was the first program that really gave me hope. I felt like I was taught by someone who actually knew the condition and understood it and went through it themselves. It's a non-invasive program, so you don't need to do any tests or need to take any medication. All you have to do is follow the steps in the program. It's very easy, everything is laid out, and you can start right after signing up. Also, there are coaches that you can hire that will walk you through everything step by step if you need personalized help. I've never worked with them, so I can't really say anything about them, but I like the approach. The last thing I really liked were the meditations. They're really easy to follow, he has a great voice, and I actually still listen to one of his meditations almost every day. His program is really what got me into meditating daily. It showed me what meditation can do for you, not just in terms of mental health, but also in terms of physical health. Great, let's now talk about the things that I didn't like about the program. Or didn't like might be a little too harsh. I would say that I missed. So the number one thing I missed in the Gupta program was that he really didn't talk about dieting and nutrition, or he only talked about it for a couple of minutes. Now, this isn't his specialty, so I can kind of understand why. But nutrition and dieting play a huge role in chronic conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome. Like I said before, I really like his explanation of chronic fatigue syndrome and its causes, and how your nervous system really overreacts and leads to sympathetic dominance, where you're stuck in fight or flight all the time. It's a good explanation, but retraining your brain is really only part of the solution. In very severe cases, the chronic stress will not just lead to a reprogramming of the brain, but it will also lead to nutrient deficiencies and imbalances that you need to fix to get out of the situation. And unfortunately, the Gupta program doesn't talk about any of that. Basically, all chronic fatigue patients are low in calming minerals like calcium, magnesium, and zinc, and high in stimulating minerals like copper and iron. And these copper and iron minerals are also mostly in a biounavailable form that the body cannot access. They just sit in the tissue and stimulate it. I talk about all of this in more detail in my other videos. But if you are a severe case, then just relaxing your nervous system won't be enough. But you do also need to deal with the issues related to your nutrition. For me personally, that meant that the Gupta program was the first step towards improvement, but it wasn't enough. I also had to start tracking my nutrient levels and working with an experienced practitioner on fixing my nutrient deficiencies and imbalances. Okay, to wrap up this video, what's my verdict? Do I recommend the Gupta program? To put it shortly, yes, it is a very good program. It works especially well for people where nothing else works. So like I said before, even though you need nutritional support, some people in the beginning, they don't tolerate supplements. Their body just overreacts to them and they get side effects. So in that case, it can make sense to just focus on your nervous system and to calm it down with meditation and all the other techniques that he shows you. That's what I did, and after a while I was then able to take supplements again and start my nutrition program. But like I said before, this is not part of the Gupta program. You have to seek out the nutrition advice elsewhere, hopefully on my channel, and then do both things simultaneously. So for example, work with the Gupta program on your meditation and then work on your nutrient levels with mineral balancing or some other approach. I hope this gave you a good overview of the Gupta program and what amygdala retraining is all about. I hope you liked this video, and I see you in the next one.